KR Enterprises, Jaka Nabatagi custom sofa gaba philap an order but your 10% Christmas offer hadu up santri December arjar pesan. Hangni philap na design shuki lejong but your ru ika warranty nadu shisnem hadu sansnem kimpi lemma ka free delivery. Contact numenta hakini number nabatag shuki bagi interior design solution tang KR Enterprises Ichirwat Shillong.
But technology has power. If you use technology wisely in a classroom can be turned into a playground.
Going back to science education is completely non-existent in Meghalaya. Forget about it.
We need to encourage holistic education, an education where we encourage critical thinking.
They should not be triggered with that fear of sitting for the exams.
Let's kickstart this discussion with the first question for Dr. Benjamin. So, sir, we know that there are a lot of changes that we have seen in the education department, in the education sector, like Madam Marak had earlier mentioned about the implementation of the National Education Policy and the Meghalaya Education Grant and so on and so forth. So, sir, do you see that the higher education in Meghalaya is adapting to the demands of a fast-changing job market?
If you talk about adapting to the demands of a very fast-changing job market, I think the blunt answer will be no. Because the National Education Policy 2020, it's good in one way, it's very holistic, it aims and looks at inclusivity, equality, equity, it has these vocational training programs, it is multidisciplinary in nature. So in terms of the idea and the entire context that they are looking at from the central government, I think the policy is good. But when you come to our state, Meghalaya, where even in PGI index, the very latest one, we are last, with only 420 points out of 1,000. And we are far away from the second last. Second last is 253 points. So we have to make up a lot of ground to even catch the second last state, which is a very small state. So these are the kind of issues that we have to look at. The problem with us over here is we come with policies from the top and then we force it on the bottom. Actually, it has to be the other way around. We should start from the ground, understand the ground realities, do a proper assessment, collect proper data, analyze, understand. As of now, all colleges who are running these courses, they are running out of these contractual teachers. And their payments is basically for the collection of fees of the students. So I think we need to start from the bottom and we move up. And just a small thing about NEHU, this education funding system or education funding system that we are talking about. MEG is nothing but a copy and paste of a system that we have in Estonia. Now we can really see the mismatch. They can do it because they have the money. We cannot do it because we do not have the money. The document which the state government has put on its public portal, right, which is accessible to everyone, okay? That document is like just saying, we'll do this, we'll do that. But on the basis of what is the government claiming on all those things? Where is the premise? Where is the foundation? And we should not be copying and pasting like MEG, funding, education funding system from developed countries like Estonia. So I think the government needs to really have a look as to how we are trying to adapt our students and even teachers for that matter, right, to the changing demands of a very fast, progressing and dynamic global job market, not just at the state and the national level.
Now, because you're mentioning about the different changes and the reforms that are required to be taken, we understand that the education sector in the state of Meghalaya is very complex. And just recently, I recall the Chief Minister saying that the education sector in the state faces deep-rooted structural challenges, and which the state is also targeting to work on to bring about changes. Now, my next question is for Banteilang. So, because we know that we are trying to embrace all these new aspirations and we're trying to navigate the evolving policies. How can we ensure that education remains inclusive and at the same time it is also relevant and future ready for the students in a world that is ever changing?
See, the point that you mentioned is very true because education department is going through a lot of reforms. Till date also, we are still at the discussion stage. We have not yet finalized and made it into a policy. So that is, of course, one of the reforms that the government is trying to bring because, like you mentioned, even the Honorable Chief Minister also mentioned that the education department needs a very strong structural reformation. See, in terms of holistic education, like my fellow panelist, Dr. Benjamin mentioned, okay, the roadmap is actually there with the National Education Policy 2020 in place, and central government is following that. We also, as the state, are also following in line with the National Education Policy. So we face a lot of problems, and in the last few years, in fact, the government has tried to bridge the gap between addressing the problems and issues of the education department, and at the same time also to address another core issue, which is improving the quality of education and the entire scenario of education in the whole state. So we are trying with all these different reforms, and in fact, Meghalaya Education Grant also, when we brought up the discussion paper and we brought it up before the public, so there was a rationale behind bringing up this discussion paper. We are trying to bring in reforms, as far as the education scenario is concerned, and if we look at the trend from the Government of India perspective also, since we're getting a lot of support through programs like Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan and PM Shri and other different schemes. So in line with this also, the reforms that have been coming in the state, the interventions that we've come in are very, very, they're very, very structured.
Okay. Thank you, but we can continue on that later. More questions on the different reforms that the government is taking up. I would come now to Mr. Uriah. Sir, we know that your school, North Liberty, is one of those progressive schools in the state, I may say. And now with the changing, with the evolving digital, and we have digital innovation and everything, can you say that our state is at that level, or our state is really prepared for that? Because we know that, okay, in the cities, we see that, there are classrooms, digital classrooms, but when we talk about the rural areas, there's still lots of challenges. From your perspectives and your experience, not just as a principal, but someone who has, traversed the length and breadth of the state, how would you say the condition of education? Are we being able to move on? Are we being able to adapt or adopt these digital changes, digital innovations that are coming up in the education sector?
Well, thank you, ma'am, for that question. It so happens to be a question that I really enjoy. We haven't spoken about it, but I thank you for choosing this question. In fact, the specialty that I have done in education is education and technology. But that was when I was privileged to study in one of the premier universities in America. And I was so privileged to get the opportunity of learning about the impact that technology can have in a classroom. I have found that even in a country as developed as America, the teachers had fear of technology. 60% of the teachers were scared of technology in the classroom. And at that time, I had a task which was very, very difficult, because when I did my thesis, I did the research in India. And I didn't dare to go to any other school, but I conducted it in North Liberty. And I discovered that the fear was even tremendous in North Liberty. So leave aside technology in the classroom, and looking at the present state of Meghalaya, I can only thank the governments from 2004 till today who have worked very hard. So I stand here not because I am supporting the government or anything, but I am here to tell certain facts that I believe the people in the government, when they listen to what's spoken here, will take some time to think about it. So looking at all this, there is one thing that needs to be taken note. It's not just giving the material to the school, but it's more on making sure how technology is being maintained and updated in the schools. But technology has power. If you use technology wisely in a classroom can be turned into a playground. I mean, Mawrie has experienced it. I believe many schools in Jowai have experienced it. So I just hope and pray that one day, working in line with the new education policy where it encourages technology, I hope our state also will reach that point.
I think yes, like you said, it is important to keep up the pace with pace of progress, and like you mentioned earlier, when you first came to the state and thought of introducing these new system and new technology in the school, there was a fear. The fear of the unknown is always there. So we just look forward that people can, like I mentioned earlier, can adopt and adapt to these technological changes because we are living in a technological era. So I'm going to ask a next question to Avner. Avner, you've written extensively on issues relating to education. Now we know that the literacy rate in the state of Meghalaya is 94%. But at the same time, the state is faced with one of the biggest challenges, that is a high dropout rate. And apart from other problems and challenges that the state is witnessing. So would you say that this 94% literacy rate necessarily translate into quality education?
Yeah, thank you for the question. No, it doesn't. And it's really sad because I genuinely don't think many people even understand that. Right? Everything is prescribed. There's no room for creative thinking in the Indian system. This is for the country. Okay, like even NEP also is a top-down kind of imposition. I don't know what was wrong with the old system, but there's always some reason. There's always some technocratic, bureaucratic answer and justification for these things. But actually, if you really look at the majority of people in this country and in this state, they have almost no critical abilities. Nobody is reading. Nobody is actually, sad to say, if you don't come from an ICSE or CBSE school, you're doomed. Because ICSE at least trains you in a certain liberal arts kind of tradition. Right now, MBOS, where is it? And what is the direction of MBOS? We have to ask ourselves that question. Yes, we are copying NCRT now. But to be very honest, are people capable of that, of teaching children in that way? Because they themselves also grew up in a system which did not allow them to think. Right? And that, I don't know if that can ever be fixed by any department. Because I think it's something that people have to have as a value in the society itself. Of course, a few people should move around, should get people, because I don't think this is only in the formal education system. I think supplementary education, supplementary activities are also very important because those are the things that make people learn, right?
Going back to science education is completely non-existent in Meghalaya. Forget about it. Forget about it. People still believe in Tlen and Taro and whatnot. What does that mean? It's a very serious question. Like, what does that mean if people who have gone to school till class 8, till class 10, whatever, and they still believe in these things, there's something wrong here, right? There's something very, very wrong. And our system, very sad to say, does not, and it's a community thing also, it does not encourage free thinking individuals. I think, I don't know, I mean, unless something drastic happens, I don't think we'll be either ready for industry, will be job oriented, nor will we be critical enough, or creative enough to be able to find our way later on. And that's a very scary thought. And it's a very serious issue. This whole country now is in a very serious problem because of that.
Now I'm going to come back to Sir Benjamin. So we all aspire for our students to be well-informed, critical thinkers, well-educated, and also individual of good character. But we know that all of this we have to start from the beginning. That means our foundation should be strong. How do you see our state? How do you see the foundation of education in our state?
Education has to be holistic, and like you said, Kong Iban, very true. It has to start right from a very early age. We have, a system right now where you read, you remember in the morning or later in the afternoon, you go and write your exams. On the basis of that, you get marks, and then we decide whether the student is good or bad, and that determines many things in our career. I think we need to change from that. We need to encourage holistic education, an education where we encourage critical thinking, scientific temper, like what Avner said a while back. Teach them to be creative. Teach them the skills of communication, entrepreneurship, right from a very young age. But actually we also have to question ourselves. I have to question myself. I have to stop saying no to my students all the time, because half the time now students have better ideas than you do. You are outdated. They are well informed than you. As teachers now, maybe at school level, Principal Sir can say later, maybe you can tell students not to do that. But in college and university level, to be very frank and blunt with you, we cannot ask the student to not use AI, not use bots, not use apps like this. This is the time, this is the age, it is going to happen whether you like it or not. The only thing that we have to ensure is that you read first, inculcate this habit of reading, and then use these bots and chat bots and AI and all apps as a supplement. It should not be the other way around. If it becomes the other way around, it becomes dangerous. There are certain things that we as teachers, we cannot change. Technology is happening, it is going to happen, it will continue to happen. But we also have to upgrade ourselves.
So moving on to Kharshandi. So we talked a lot about Avner mentioned, like Benjamin mentioned, about the different gaps that are there in the education department. And I also understand that we have a state higher secondary council, which the government plans to revive right now to advise the government. How is that going, sir? And there is also the state level quality assurance council, which the government said will be reactivated to monitor the standards from pre-primary to university level. How is that going about now, sir?
See, with regards to higher education, I'll not be able to comment much because these are being dealt with by a different directorate. So, this is in fact beyond the aspect of what I'm looking after. See, education, as we understand now, it's going through a rapid change, and basically, the main factor is obviously technology. So, like the examples which he had given, I also agree to what he had said. See, technology has played a major role, no doubt. All right, and even in education department also, technology is very much a factor when it comes to reforms. But at the same time, we understand that, technology has to be used in a very proper way, because the best example which Dr. Benjamin had given is that, students nowadays, they resort too much to applications such as ChatGPT and other applications which are based on AI. But the big difference is that students nowadays, we really don't understand whether they actually read, whether they actually
understand
are into
exactly
the habit of reading and understanding concepts before they resort to AI or not. That is a very, very big question. And at the end of the day, I'll tell you, it becomes half-baked information or half-baked knowledge. So that is the threat that we are facing today, and through this panel discussion, in fact, we should urge upon the entire student community to make sure that they do not repeat this mistake again.
Exactly. I think this is an advice to the students, like whatever technology or apps you're using, you have to be careful. You don't have to depend so much on these apps. Now, I'll come again to Principal. Sir, we understand that you did your education in the US and you came back to the state, to our state, not states, our state. So it's from a developed country to a developing country. And you've seen and witnessed the education system there, and you're also witnessing the education system here. I really don't know because I didn't study there, so I don't know how the education system works. But if you are to bring something valuable from there, from a developed country to a developing country and to a state like Meghalaya that's grappling with this problem right now, what would it be?
It's a good question. Caught me by surprise. Well, if there's something good that I need to or would love to bring to schools in India, it's reading. We're just talking about reading. In fact, we developed our library at our school after I came from there. Why I say that is because, as Dr. Benjamin, as Bante has mentioned, like children use a lot of AI nowadays, as it was mentioned. Reading doesn't mean we just read a book, like what Bante said. There are lots of e-books. You can have so many books in your digital device to read. But reading is a good habit that needs to be encouraged in schools. It helps you comprehend.
Yes.
It helps you to remember names. Sometimes you have to go back a few pages. What was the name of that character? The reading is very important. So if there's something I would love to bring back to India, in the schools of Meghalaya, is reading.
So yeah, I'll come to Avner. Avner, earlier you mentioned about the cultural challenges that we face, like you mentioned about the Thlen and the Taro. So aside from that, are there other cultural or social challenges that hinders the growth of education in Meghalaya?
See, number one, I don't agree that it may be nice to talk about the Finnish model, but that's as a system. That's everyone together. That's MBO should do that together, and government should prioritize its own thing. Problem has always been in Meghalaya, and I've said this so many times, too many private players, right? Any country or any state that does well, like Kerala, for example, Tamil Nadu, these are actually where we need to be looking at. They have been doing such good work over the last 20, 30 years. And it is because they don't have this, there's almost no private schools there. Meghalaya is a different situation now because of maybe 100 years of private school education by missionaries and all that. That unfortunately is a historical accident. But I think the government really needs to put its money now into building up its own schools, improving them. It's something that I feel like if we want to implement a Swedish model or a Finnish model, whatever, it's fine. But it has to be the government that takes the lead. And if we want to any systemic changes, it has to involve the government. If you look at the number of higher secondary schools that the government runs, education department, it's 42. That is at the higher secondary level, and at the at the secondary level it's just 85. The rest is dominated by private players, right? And I think that right now, I think we're missing the woods for the trees. We with all due respect, like I'm not an educator, but I think very deeply about this subject because I can see that if we don't correct it now, we'll have a lot of problems. Basically, I think government really needs to think only about its own and help its own more. That is my final say.
Thank you. I think, sir, the government supports around 4,172 private schools in the state, right? And I believe 65% of the funds also that the government earmarks for the education department goes to the salary. So whatever is left is for other intervention. So that is a topic of discussion for another day, because I know it's going to be a lengthy discussion on that. And I also like to point out what Avna was saying, like, you know, there are serious challenges and problems that the education sector in the state is facing. Like, the government has come up with the different datas, like, you know, like, it's a matter of great concern that 206 schools have zero enrollment. Yeah, and 2,269 with single-digit students. That means these schools do not have students. And with single-digit students, maximum 9. Maximum 9. Ibang cross hipongon. Then, so I think I've asked enough questions from my end. I would like to open the floor for questions. If any of you have questions, feel free to ask any of our panelists.
Ni ngaskau kum kidon ki jabi yang lele ante. Kepada skau hun si saya ki jing ai jing tip jong pi. I just want to get some tips from you, because here we have students, we have teachers, and we are so anxious to know what are those new styles of teaching. And then just keep in mind, okay, I'm keeping here also others question also, how to bring up the image of Meghalaya, of those days, and to make it a place of education and also a very secure.
Hello, panelists. I just want to ask, like, for me, I am the first batch of new graduation law, that new 4-year graduation policy, NEP, but I want to ask that if we graduated this, so how we can get job with it, or we need to do another more training, or this is good enough for the student of Meghalaya?
Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Mawrie. So actually I'm a teacher here in the Thomas Jones Synod College from the Political Science Department. So one point I would like to ask here or to share with you, through experience, we found that with this new national education policy, so we found that there are so many drop-off students. They cannot complete the whole semester as have been said. Then the second point is that as we have seen with this National Education Policy 2020, so we have so many courses, let's say the NEP courses, for example, like the multidisciplinary courses, VAC, vocational training courses. So also at the same time, we found that it's very difficult for students to, let's say, to choose this different trade. So this has happened because this policy is what have mentioned as starting at the top.
Can we change the way that teachers teach as well, in that way that it's not really about the marks, it's not really about writing lengthy answers, and can this change from NEHU also, that marks should be given much more generously than how it has been going on? Okay.
I think, you know, as you said earlier, like, marks really don't matter. We need to, yeah, you're right. If we can, you know, because there's two things here, right? There's critical thinking, which is not linked to your marks, but then there is a need to have higher marks. This is true. So maybe you should just start giving more generously. You guys should just start marking plus 20 to everyone.
So I'm also the victim of the same thing, but it's okay, things are moving now and things are changing.
That marks thing about the marks. Let's concentrate on learning. Because if there are marks centric, we will miss out in life.
Myself, Odawan Langkistanga from Nongbri Government College. And specifically, I'm doing my BAB at 5th semester and ITEP course. I am from the first batch of NEP 2020, and we are currently in the 5th semester. We are the new NEP batch, and our foundation stage has not been of that thing, of that NEP thing. So there is a lot of difference. I completed my foundation stage about 12 to 13 years ago, which was not according to NEP. And now Suddenly, I filled my admission form with just 3 subjects for BA, bachelor's. But then when I go to college, I attend an orientation program, the subjects are all different. They are not of what I picked in my admission form. This was like a shock, sir. The change was very sudden. And another thing is, the question relating to that matter is, are we safe, sir? Because this sudden change of what we have studied about NEP, that from the foundation stage, it goes. But for us, it's not that way, sir. We just shift from what we are now. Right now, we don't know what's next. We are currently in the 5th semester. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, our exams are here. And by next year, we'll be in the 6th semester. And after that, we don't know what's next. Should we continue with the 8th, 7th semester? Or what's next after our 6th semester?
First of all, I mean, you speak very well. Congratulations, and you know, you should become a news anchor or reporter like Iban. Those questions you should be asking a politician. Anyways, so few things I'm really sorry. I mean, I cannot answer. You're asking policy matters to me, which is there in the hands of the admin. But what I can answer, I will answer. First of all, are we safe in the hands of contractual teachers? Yes, we are safe. I was also taught by such teachers. I believe many of us were taught by such teachers. Certain other things that I can answer, we are looking at papers which is not there when I was doing my earlier classes and all. You see, that is the whole idea of NEP. To make everything holistic, to make everything multidisciplinary, to make everything, So that is why we have this sort of combinations under the NEP. It is a policy matter which has come from there. Yet again, the same problem, no? We are starting from the top. That's why we are having a lot of these questions. I remember once there was this talk where someone said, these very first batch of students under NEP are basically guinea pigs. You understand guinea pigs? In the lab, in the experiment. I felt so bad hearing that, because I don't want anyone to be a guinea pig in education. There should be no one should be a guinea pig. I feel that although you are the first batch, you are in good hands. That much I can say. I cannot say as some authority under NEHU or something like that, but as a teacher, I can tell you that much.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Thomas Jones Synod, Principal of the Higher Secondary School here in Jowai. Do you think the implementation of CM Impact Guidebook help a student in this? I have seen, according to me, I think 5 years from now, we will not have students who are competitive enough, because why? They have learned by heart what they're supposed to actually understand the textbook. Any entrance exam they are going to appear for, any competitive exam they are going to appear for, they need to know. But then now, we are teaching our kids, like, read that books is enough. So this is a challenge, I think. It will affect our students, it will affect the future of our students.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Like ma'am mentioned that before coming up with any new policy, implementing any new policy, especially that has to do with students, I think the planning stage is very important. In getting everyone on board, all the stakeholders, is very important. Like our student also said that this panel should have a student, but we don't. But actually, I'm glad that you raised that issue, and I would like to believe that you represent the student community. That's why I like about discussions, panel discussions and discourses, because we get to listen to all of your views. Here we have educators, we have writers, we have policy makers, students, principals, and I know that it's in discussions like these that we get to listen to all of you, to get your suggestions, your views, and to work together to think as one if we are to implement anything. So we do look forward for an education system that is, number one, it's future focused, number two, it's job oriented, and number three, of course, inclusive. And before wrapping up this discussion, I would like to give our panelists a chance to give your closing remarks. We'll start with Dr. Benjamin.
My only remarks would be, if you really want to see change in society, you want to see our society develop, then we need a very vibrant education system. Unless we do that, things will not change. it's something to do with politics also. Unless the voters are educated, unless and until the voters are educated, they are aware, they are alert, we will not have proper governance in Meghalaya.
Thank you, sir. So, Bante?
So I want to send this message to the students that whatever you do, the formative, that's why, what NEP is focusing on now is the formative and the preparatory stage. They should not be triggered with that fear of sitting for the exams or failing in the exams. Alright? So that period is actually a period where they should actually learn by doing, they should enjoy. It should be fun-based learning, activity-based learning, and at the end of the day, I'll tell you, when they go to the middle and they go to the secondary stage, they will become good students and they will really enjoy learning. That's all from my side.
Thank you, sir. Sir Richard?
I would like to wrap up with a few words of encouragement. If education is to be sustainable in Meghalaya, teachers need to be happy.
Student teachers be motivated. Teachers need to be motivated. And last but not the least, let us stop this practice of agitating against authority. You will gain nothing by agitating. I've been 25 years in the education department, and I'll tell you, let's compliment the government. Let it be government X, government Y, government Z. Government are not there to stay, but you and me are there to stay in the education department. And if we want to succeed, start complimenting them, and believe me, good things will happen. This is a word of wisdom from me. With these few words, I conclude. Thank you very much. Kublai Sibon. Mithela Jai Hind.
I don't know how to sum up. It was very broad, actually. And no, I just want, especially these younger guys who are here, I just want to, again, maybe give some sort of encouragement. See, the truth is, many things, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's very difficult. You should know why you're studying certain things, right? You should definitely know why you're studying certain things. You're still young, it'll take time, you're trying to learn yourself. We need to encourage them that way, and it has to be a community effort, it has to be from the parent side. Because not everybody knows what they want to do, right? You might start off with something else and you might end up with something else. Travel, try to meet other people, try to engage with the world. You will be able to find space for yourself. That is what I have advice for these young guys, right? Because if you're just going to stay here, you're not going to learn everything in the world. Definitely not. So you need to travel, you need to engage, you need to meet people. Don't be scared of the world. Go out there, live your life, you're still young. Try to experience things so that you know who you are. That's it.
Thank you so much, Adnan. Thank you so much to each of the panelists. Like Dr. Benjamin was talking about the need to change the mindset. He spoke about politics, and we all know that. I'm reminded of an interview I had with one senior politician where he said that, politics is the backbone of democracy. Politics, it governs everyone. I mean, everything from education to health, everything has to do with politics. So that's why he stressed on the need to change the mindset. And Mr. Bante spoke about different issues where he stated that marks are not the key to success. He also encouraged the students to widen and broaden their worldview and to think creatively. And similarly, Mr. Uriah spoke about happy teachers is equivalent to happy classrooms, and that is equivalent to happy students. And he also spoke about the need to learn from one another, like how we've learned from one another today. And lastly, Avana spoke about the need to think differently and how to nurture our students in the right direction, better preparing them for the modern workforce. So we've had a wonderful and interesting and insightful discussion We've learned, we've laughed at so many of our comments and remarks made by the panelists, and reflected on so many issues. So once again, a heartfelt thank you to all our panelists, to Dr. Benjamin, to Bante, to Richard, to Avner, for sparing your valuable time to be here with us and for sharing your wisdom with the audience, and also to the audience for being such an energetic audience and for asking such good questions and sharing your grievances and your insights with us. So thank you very much for that. And once again, I would also like to extend my gratitude to Madam Principal, Dr. Ailynti Nongbri, and her team at Thomas Jones Synod College for organizing this event. So with that, we've come to the end of this program. But nakabenta ki parlo ki jongi ki bepek yo forefront media. Katungi la poish bakut jong kani ke jing the jing metasngi halor ke jing long jing man ba ke jing kelas stet jong kat nat ki pulik nat ka pulik puthia ke jala Meghalaya. Kita ki tu ki ting la poish bakut jong kani program ke jongi tanya dia shame pi ke kapor ku rei pi baro.